Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Classroom Book Talk with Sora and Teaching Books, the series where educators share how they bring books to life in their classrooms. My name's Naomi, and I am the social media manager for Sora. And today we're discussing award winning books. We're talking Newbery, Caldecott, Prince, favorites, and how to introduce those titles to the classroom, to your students, award winning literature in ways that feel exciting and relevant and more accessible. So, joining me today is the wonderful Nick, also known as Mr. Moore from Learn, Teach More. Nick, thank you so much for being here. And can you just start us off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Sora holds a very special place in my heart and our
Aw,
school and our students. I
yay.
love Sora. I use Sora constantly. Like my friends are like, I'm gonna go on here and I got my ebook and stuff. I'm like, are you using Sora? Like, go to the public library then. Like, I have it through the school, but you can also do the public library. So they know it's
Yeah.
my favorite. And our kids too. Like, we love everything about Sora because I don't shut up about it.
Yay. We
But
love that.
I'm an elementary school librarian in Georgia, so I'm in Metro ATL. This is my 2nd year in the library.
Okay.
I came from teaching 5th grade and kinda didn't know I was gonna transfer over into
Mm-hmm.
the librarianship. Best
Mm-hmm.
decision ever. I absolutely love working with all the teachers,
Mm-hmm.
all the students, going from 5th to kindergarten and,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not the tallest person, but to look down and be like, "Oh, hey, you're there." Like, that was a big difference, but I love being able to see the kids grow, even from August to like,
Mm-hmm.
in January, I'll tell teachers, I'm like, "You're doing a phenomenal job." I see
Yeah.
a huge difference when they come in the library. So that was a big difference for myself, but, like, I've taught, like, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but 5th grade, they know they are my favorite people, and we just have the best time. I do tell them, like, "Y'all are my favorite because I just love 5th grade.
Uh-huh.
This is how it is. So I've been
Yeah.
teaching for about this is my 7th year. So
Mm-hmm.
4 years, 5th grade. I had a wonderful team teacher, Marlo. I left him to go into the
Mm-hmm.
library world. But it's all still fun. I just love supporting our teachers and all of our students.
I love that. That has to be so fun to be able to see them grow. I feel like I definitely had that experience. So I emailed recently my English teacher because I think about her all the time. And I hope that one day you get one of those emails
Oh my
from one of
god,
your students because, yeah, that's so special. But
I love that.
yeah, you have a very similar story to Andrea when the first guest that we had on, she was also previously a teacher and then became a librarian, and I had no idea that she was a teacher previously because 'cause I've only ever known her as a librarian, so I feel like it's a really cool perspective as well, to talk about this and kind of your perspective as a teacher and how you did that maybe, back in the day and then now as a librarian. So yeah, that's so fun. Okay, so my first question is, do you intentionally incorporate award-winning books like the Newbery, Caldecott, or Prince into your curriculum? I don't know if you would call the library programming a curriculum, but or does that just happen like more organically in your library?
So I think you can say
Yeah.
curriculum
Okay.
because we do have we're future ready frameworks are in our county and stuff that we kind of go by to help collaborate with teachers.
Okay.
But then we also have our own resources that we get
Mm,
trained on in PD so that we can bring it back to the teachers like, hey, you can
uh-huh.
use this in the classroom. I'll help you do it. Let's work on something together. But even in my collection or just in the collection, like there's books that are Newbery honors, Caldecott honors, Caldecott winners, Coretta Scott King Award winners,
Yes.
like, I have all of that, and it is kind of a go-to, that's just really nice to be able to have a list made by
Mhm.
experts, people that were reading, working hard, and those authors and illustrators that really put in the effort to make such great literary work. Like,
Mhm.
it's easy to pull that list, but honestly, the first thing I do is think about my population,
Mhm.
what do my kids wanna read and what represents them? I talked about this, at ASL in our conference about I got rid of a lot of books when I first got there, and in my first
Mhm.
year, I went through the whole collection because I was like, "I need to know these books. I need to see what we have," and a lot of them were not up to standards. I was embarrassed. So, that's kind of the first thing I look at is, does my population appreciate this? Does it
Mhm.
represent them? Because, majority of my school is African American students, like, we have Hispanic, white, multiracial, Asian, American Indian, but majority of them are African American, and we had a lot of books that were books with Black kids in them, but the illustrations were not representative of Black kids.
Mhm.
They were stories that were no connection, and a lot of them weren't fun. It wasn't
Mhm.
interesting, especially for a K through 5 school.
Mhm.
So that list is great, but I also look and see how can I represent my population.
Yeah. I feel like by filling those gaps, that makes it more organic as well, because then they just kinda go for whatever they wanna read more of and where they see themselves, and then it happens to be an award-winning title. And what you just mentioned about it being more fun, I had a conversation with Andrea on the first episode, how we were talking about, like, from our backgrounds and stuff, like, not all of the time we wanna read books that are, like, all, like, trauma or heavy and like, very dark literature about our culture and our race. So that's really great that you were able to kind of fill in those gaps and find those titles that would really excite students. And I think that's another thing that Andrea said, just knowing every single title in what you have and going in there and knowing every title that you have so you're able to, cater to your students. That's really awesome. And I love to hear that. From all of you guys. Okay, so the next question is, do award-winning books ever feel intimidating to some of your students? If so, how do you make those titles more accessible to them? Which I think you kind of answered by saying like that you were filling in those gaps and seeing books that felt more fun and kind of they could see themselves in. But is there any other way that you feel like you make these books a little bit less intimidating or more accessible to them?
Yeah, I feel like the first thing that I would assume every librarian does, if you don't, you need to, is book displays. Like it's so
Mhm.
simple to do. You just putting a book on top of a shelf makes it more accessible. Because sometimes kids looking at a shelf, I don't know what it is, but they get in front of a shelf and they just look at it. And I'm like, you have to pull the book out, look at it, open it. Like no one's going to be mad at you.
Mhm.
And I think just putting out those displays, like I
Yeah.
have a bulletin board I'll switch out. We have the Georgia Children Book Awards. I'm on the committee and we always get some freebie stuff from like Bound to Stay
Mhm.
Bound and stuff and posters and bookmarks. And I love for the kids to see that and see like kind of be proud of like, oh my gosh, this is what teachers, students, families, librarians, they voted on and nominated for us to read through and compile that list. So I think that's another way for it to be accessible that they have a voice in it. I give them a
Mhm.
chance to vote. I give them a chance to nominate books we should put on that list. There's just been a read aloud or something they
Mhm.
read or went to like our local bookstore and got or the public library. So that's another way to make it feel accessible. And even if you don't have that in your library, make it. Why don't you have a
Mhm.
school list going on? Like I'm sitting here coming up with ideas with Naomi, like let's do this. Like I love that because you want your kids to have that voice, but
Mhm.
putting those books out, that was a big thing for me. Like, we got to have these displays. Let's highlight the months. Like, we have Black History Month going on. Like, and like you said earlier, every book for that is not just, oh, these Black historical figures. We
Mhm.
love them. They've worked hard. I have one on my shirt currently. But
Yes.
let's pull in some of those titles from authors that are Black authors or just books with Black characters on there so people can see that culture and see those experiences and make connections because you don't have to be Black in order to read this book about 2 Black boys that wanna play basketball. Like, everybody plays basketball, why not? Definitely doing those displays. I definitely had to tell my kids, "That's not decoration. You can pick those book not kids, pick up those books and read them." Like and that was a big thing. They're like, "I can grab that? Please, I want you to." Like, I will put another book up there.
Mhm.
So, that was a big thing, especially for our younger kids, because I think they just were like, "Ooh, we can't mess this up. It looks
Mhm.
good." Which is nice, but please mess it up.
Yeah.
If your library's not messy, that's not good. Like, I've learned to love a messy library.
Yeah, I feel like usually when I walk into a library, the first places that I go to are the book displays or like staff picks. Like I want to know what y'all thought was good too. But that's great that you're doing the displays. And honestly, if you haven't followed Nick over at Learn Teach More, I absolutely love, like, you post a lot about the things that you do, like, in person at your library and, like, displays and, like, the games and, like, things that you're doing, like, in person with your students. So if anyone that's listening to this is, like, struggling with ideas or anything, go follow Nick because that's kinda how I found you through Sora. Like, I started following a lot of educators and stuff, and I remember that you would tag us on a lot of stuff, and I would see all of these, like, cool things that you were doing in the classroom, and you do a lot for your students in the library and with the displays and everything, so, yeah, it's honestly just such wonderful, like, programming and work that you're doing.
That's literally where you get all your ideas. I say you don't even have to be this like influencer.
Mhm.
Post your ideas, get
Yeah.
ideas. Like that's what I love about it. And that's kind of what we teach the kids too. Like use these programs to get your resources to find out, not just for fun. It's fun, but
Mhm.
now I got some ideas I can bring back to the space.
Yeah, 100%. My next question is, what is one award-winning title that really surprised you in terms of student engagement? I'm really excited, like, I really wanna know what title.
So when I saw the
Mhm.
list,
Mhm.
I feel like it just popped up and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, the lists are out, like, they're here."
Mhm.
And there was a book that I had read, I got it from the public library, to read with the kids. It was just literally like an impromptu I took somebody's class because something happened, like, I don't know what it was, I think I just said, "They can come in the library,"
Mhm.
and I just had it and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna read it." It was a 3rd grade group, they do a lot with fossils and rocks, and this is a Caldecott honor book. It was I'm looking at the names, Stalactite and Stalagmite by Drew Beck
Ooh.
they wrote that and they illustrated,
Mhm.
and we read the book and the kids, like, enjoyed it. They
Mhm.
made connections. We talked about fossils and rocks. Had no idea that was gonna be a Capricorn Hunter book. Like, it was fun, and
Uh-huh.
I the kids were like, "Oh, where did you get that?" And I'm like, "Go to the public library, like, look in Sora, it's probably in there too." And I was like, "I'm gonna put it in the library soon for
Mhm.
y'all." And I did, and they really enjoyed it, but we did not think it was gonna be, like, put up to this level. So that was
Yeah,
pretty cool to see that,
that
like, to
is
kinda
pretty
be
cool.
in on it before it's, like, so popular. But that was, like, huge. So I kinda
Yeah.
love that, and that was a good way for me to introduce kind of the list to them, so they
Mhm.
got an idea of, like, "What is this? I see these stickers on the books."
Yeah.
So that was fun to kinda be in on it before everybody else.
Yeah, you kinda liked it before it was cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think I was watching the live stream, and there were a couple of titles that came up on there that I was like, "Oh my god, I read that," and I just felt so cool. I'm like, "Oh, I knew before everybody else that
You're
this
like,
was
"I
a
read
really
that
good title."
already."
Uh,
Yeah. I
actually,
read it
I
on
did
Sora.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so funny, like, fossils. I did not expect that as an answer type book. Love that. How do you introduce award-winning literature in a way that feels exciting rather than required reading? And maybe this is more of, like, your teacher side as well, because I feel like whenever, people are like, "Oh, I don't read." I don't like, the last book I read was, like, a book that I had to read in school. So, yeah, I'm wondering, is there any, like, exciting ways that you introduce these books in the library, or if you ever did in the classroom, that it's more exciting than kind of like required reading if you were ever to do like award-winning titles?
It goes back to book displays, like, I
Mhm.
don't think people realize how powerful that is,
Mhm.
like, to pull a book off the shelf and kinda display it, so the kids are like, "Ooh, what is that?" And even how you said it, like, I do the same thing in the library, like, those are my first places to go to,
Mhm.
and I feel like it's kind of like it's almost like some comforting, like, not to go straight to the shelf, but to go to a display and kinda see like, "Okay, that's interesting, this is new," and that's when I go to bookstores like my local bookstore, the Bookworm, I go to the public library and stuff. I see those displays and it gives me ideas what I can put
Mhm.
in the library.
Yeah.
So for myself, like I do that and I kind of in lessons and checkouts, like I'll
Mhm.
kind of divert the kids, like, let's take a look at this first. Cause you
Mhm.
gotta nudge them. I don't tell them what to get. Cause you always have a few kids that are like, can I go over there? And I'm like, sure you can. But you're kind of like you have to nudge them a little bit
Mhm.
and show them their options because honestly, I know like my population, they don't know Caldecott, they don't know
Mhm.
Newberry, they don't
Mhm.
know Coretta Scott. Like that's not something that's talked about at home in a lot of their homes
Mhm.
or just randomly thrown out to them. Like they're hearing it from the first time from myself. Their
Mhm.
teacher may have done it. So we just try to get a little bit creative. When I do my
Mhm.
collabs with teachers, I definitely try to pull, okay, what are those books that are probably going to be popular and the teachers can use with a lot of different ways. So I'll pull those titles in for them to use. So I'd say that is another good way. Think about your collaboration, and I try to pick the book first, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
what all can we do? Like, what standards can we support? Or if it's just a fun activity, like, what can we do?
Yeah, I do love that about the displays. I feel like they're getting so creative nowadays. I feel like I go to a bookstore and like very like TikTok or like trends and stuff, like, they're getting super, like, creative. Like, I think I just went to a bookstore recently, and there's, like, the little monkey Punch. Have you seen that on TikTok or
No?
anywhere? It's look him up. His name's, Punch the Monkey, and there was a display at a bookstore that I went to, and it was, like, all books that, like, had, like, a little monkey on the cover, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cute." Like, I
Oh, yeah,
wanted to
I
buy
love
one.
that. Or when they made the 6, 7, like, who would have
Yeah!
thought, "Let's take this and twist it around." Like,
Yeah.
I have to give it to, like, librarians, the public librarian, the bookstore sellers, just to
Mhm.
think of something like that. Because I think I do, like, some cool stuff, but there are people that take it to a 10, and I'm like,
Mm,
"I love that. I'm
yeah.
jealous. I'm gonna use your idea. I'm gonna give credit, but I'm gonna use it."
Yeah, I do love a lot of, like, the trendy stuff nowadays with, like, the displays and stuff, and it's really easy to, like, I don't know, like, even if it's, like, a TV show that just came out, like, Wednesday, I remember that I did, like, a list about, like, Wednesday read-alikes and then maybe adding one, like, an award-winning title into one of those, like, other recommendations and throwing that in there. I think that can be really useful as well. But yeah, so my next question, is and I feel like with, the displays, as you were saying, and you can kind of do that in Sora too with, like, lists and stuff and whatever shows up on the dashboard for your students, but how can educators use tools like Sora or TeachingBooks to help students explore award-winning titles more independently?
That's pretty easy, honestly. Like, I just ended up doing this for our Read Across America. Like, I pulled a bunch of books and I kinda sorted it by grade levels.
Mhm,
Really, you can read it for any grade level. That's what I love.
mhm,
But I kinda sorted it by grade levels because the teachers may have, like, a certain activity they wanna do,
mhm,
or they just wanna pull a certain type of, book for their group, and I just sorted it and put it and hyperlinked it in a PDF, so it took them straight to Sora. So
mhm,
that was, like, really fun, and I kinda pulled some of those, okay, what are those Newbery? What are those Caldecott's? What is that Coretta Scott King, the Georgia State Children Book Award list? Like, I kinda put those specifically in there, so it was another way for them to see, like, "Ooh, okay, let me get into this and let's see maybe why did they get that honor? Like, why
mhm.
do they deserve that?" So that's another talking piece for them. I would also say, like, read alouds and stuff, bring those
Yeah.
in, like, it doesn't I think every child should hear read aloud, no matter the age,
Mhm.
like, teachers should be reading books. I love doing that in the classroom. We literally had a 100-book challenge. And I'm like, "We're gonna read 100 books, guys," and they were so excited, we would log our minutes and Beanstack and everything, and, like, it was the best thing to
Mhm,
do, and, it was really easy, and it was accessible for everybody for me to read. I even gave students the chance to read, parts of a book and stuff. I love when we had our bilingual books. Like, I would do the English part, and I would bring, like, some of my students that were Spanish speakers. I'm like, "Who feels comfortable? Let's try." And even letting students that, weren't Spanish speakers,
mhm.
they did that too. So that was a fun way to kinda bring those books in, and it's just is another way to highlight, those honors that they receive.
Yeah. I love the read aloud. I feel like I haven't like, someone hasn't read a book to me in so long, like, since school. I love a read aloud story, that's so awesome. Yeah, and I do like how you just said, like, the challenge of, like, we're reading 100 books and kind of gamifying, like, reading, and especially now in Sora that now we have, like, the reading challenge and everything, and that's been really fun.
I encourage all librarians to challenge their kids. It was so easy to set up a Sora challenge, and I did it with a
Mhm,
few classes, and I'm like, who can do this in this 2-week period? I'm gonna check in, you check in with me, but the goal as the librarian or the
mhm,
teacher, if you do
mhm,
it too, beat them. Like, it made me like I was already reading every day, but I'm like,
mhm.
okay, I gotta go read. I gotta
Yeah.
get on Sora. What am I reading? Let me go through my list
Mhm.
that you talked about earlier and all of that. And I would do that, and I'll come back to the kids, I'm like, "I'm still number 1," and so they
Who's
know,
gonna
like,
beat Mr.
yeah,
Moore?
your goal is to beat me, you have to move up in those planets, like, but
Mhm,
it's so fun, and it's another way to engage them because now they feel
mhm,
like just like they play a video game, now I'm
mhm.
playing an actual game.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're like, "I'm number 1."
Yep,
That's so
sorry,
funny.
I don't mind beating kids.
Okay, so the next question is, why do you think it's important for students to engage with critically acclaimed literature, so award-winning literature, as well as popular and trendy books?
Well, number 1, it came from people that are experts, so I
Mhm,
love that. People have read them, They didn't just pick them up because of the cover and stuff. They look at the totality of it all. And then I'll also say that it's relevant. It can be relevant to what's happening. So those students have more connections. It gives a great way to bring that into some of your content, social
Mhm,
studies, science, because it is current. So that's always really nice because we have our classics and they're wonderful, but we can't always read those classics. And I think those critically acclaimed books, sometimes those are your books that aren't popular. So
mhm,
that's important to look at. You
mhm,
know, like Dogman is always gonna win. They have many awards, and that's wonderful. It's a great text. It's funny. I love it.
mhm,
However, I know that's a popular book. But
mhm,
then you'll have a book like Will's Race to Home, a Coretta
mhm,
Scott honor, that will award winner, and you wouldn't have saw that in the popular section probably. So that's why you need to go look at those lists. It really makes a
mhm.
difference, and they put it together for a reason, for that reason, really.
Yeah, I do remember when I was seeing the live stream for, the award winners, and there were a couple that I was like, "Oh, I've definitely seen that before," but there was a lot more that were, like, brand new to me, like, cover, title, author, like, a lot of it, and it was exciting because I love reading, like, debut novels, like, an author that I've never read from before, like, something super new. I love trying it and just knowing, like, it has an award. Like, what like, like, a debut novel that you've never heard from before, like, out of nowhere, and you at least try, but then it has an award, like, come on, you must read this. But that was funny that you just mentioned classics because my next question, I'm really excited to hear what you're gonna say. And my question is, if you had to hand a most likely to be a classic in 20 years to a recent book, what book would that be?
We
I
have
know, I have, like, one
so
in
many
mind.
classics, like but we have a lot of great books that honestly they can so when I think about a classic, I'm like, does this stand the test of time? Can they come back and use this book, whether it
Mhm,
just be for fun, that
mhm,
read aloud that Nomi is looking for, or just something that people are still looking at.
mhm.
And there's a book that came out last year, and
Okay.
it was a really good book. Our principal read it to like our Beans Like Celebration kiddos. We have it in Sora. We read it. We had the teachers get some of the books, and it's called I Got You by Derek Barnes and illustrated by Shamar Knight Justice. It's a picture book, and I definitely feel like that's a classic because it was about these two brothers that are two black brothers. The younger one is always with the older brother. He always takes
Mhm,
him along, which is great. If you're a sibling, you definitely have that feeling, except one day, the older sibling's like, "Hey, you can't go," and he's very nice about it, and the younger brother's just like, "Why? Like, I just don't understand," and but later on, the older brother comes and talks to him, and he's just like, "Hey, you won't always be with me, but, like, I'm still there for you, like, I still got you." Perfect.
mm,
And then they find out that they're about to have a younger brother. So now that younger brother initial younger brother is kinda like, "Okay, I'm gonna be there for you. I got you." And I'm a
mhm,
middle child. I have an older brother, I have a younger brother, so, like, that literally was
mhm.
and I was like, "What? That is so good." And we all
Yeah.
absolutely loved it at the school. I sent it to my brothers. I'm like, "I got you, but also, like, send me money." Like, it was such a cute book. I just feel like
Mhm,
that book where you can make so many connections, that's
mhm. Yeah,
honestly
oh my god, I've never heard of that book before, so I'm so excited that I asked you. I feel like this should be, like, a recurring question on this. Like, I wanna hear what
oh,
everyone thinks it's, like, a recent classic. Like, I love that.
in
I'm
all
gonna
the
be
book
looking that up
series.
after this. You said it was I've Got You?
I Got You by Derek Barnes and Shamar Knight Justice.
I will be looking this up. Goodreads, sometimes you like slightly don't spell it correctly and it will be like no match found. And I'm like, something exists.
You're just gonna come over to Georgia, come to Powder Springs. We will read the book to you. It's already in store
Yes!
for us. Just sit on the carpet. We have like our little furry friends read. It's okay.
Yay! All right. Oh my god, only one more question. No. Okay. So the very last question, and I asked this of Andrea as well, and she gave me a couple of recs, but I want to know what are like some of your go-to book recommendations. Like a student comes to you and they're like, I'm not a reader. I don't really read. What would you recommend me? Like, what would you think it's the book that would like get them hooked into reading? And also maybe some of like your personal book recommendations.
Okay, I have my list because I did
Yes.
not want to forget.
Yes.
So if you're looking for something fun for your
Mhm.
kids to get into, a
Okay.
really like it's just such a funny book and silly, is Buffalo Fluffalo by Bess Cow, and you
Okay.
have to get the sequel, Buffalo Fluffalo and Puffalo. So that's a fun picture book. It's a quick, great read aloud for the classroom, or
Okay.
Naomi if you wanna read to her. Blood in the Water is a really good middle grade book. I've been recommending that. It's by Tiffany Jackson. I
Oh,
noticed that kids love scary,
I
and
love Tiffany D. Jackson.
she's
I
so
read
good,
a
and that
lot
was
by
her
her.
debut, like, middle grade book, and it was good, and our kids love it.
Yes,
So,
I feel like Andrea also mentioned that book too. I love Tiffany D. I've pretty much I
Andrea
haven't
has
read that one.
she's so
Yeah.
good already, but she has great
Mhm.
taste.
Yes.
Something I loved using in my classroom,
Mhm.
like, just for integrating in activities and a read aloud was the Because of Mr. Terupt series by Rob Bouye, I think I'm saying it right. That was a really good series, just it was perfect because they were, like, 5th graders, and
Mhm.
they were with this teacher, an accident happens, and it's a whole series, it's about 4 or 5 books, and he's about to come out with a new one, so I'm like, what? It's been a few years since I used it. I'm so excited
Mhm.
now I can, like, bring it back, like, "Hey, let's look at this book, guys." You can do, like, a
Ooh.
fresh chapter Friday or something.
Mm.
And then for all of my adult people, or my adults that love young adult books that
Mhm.
I've been recommending lately is I love a book that's turned into a TV show, and we've had some really good ones. The books are always better, of course, but I absolutely loved We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It came out a
Nick.
while ago, but the show, I was hooked, and the book,
Mhm.
I was like, "You're hooked." Like, both
Mhm.
versions, I was so hooked. So good.
Nick. That was, like I read that book when it came out, like, I was in high school, and that was, like, my personality. It was that book. I love that book. The show was wonderful, and they're actually doing another season. They're kind of, like they're doing their own thing, and We Were Liars has, like, other prequels and stuff, but yeah, nothing's like We Were Liars, but I
That
think E.
yeah.
Lockhart's going to be doing some, like, creative stuff with the show, so I'm excited because I
I'll be
love
tuned in.
yes, it's
I'll
so
be
good.
tuned in. In my Sora list is We Fell Apart. I'm waiting on The
Mhm.
Hold to come up. We know how that is. And then I loved Guncle by Stephen Rowley. I read that recently, and that was a really good, like, kind of fun young adult type of book, and there's a sequel too, so I haven't gotten to that, but those are some good like, those are just my recommendations, like, right then out to people, like, "Try this." And
Mhm.
then I love that I just hear others and I get to add to the list. It goes on and on and on.
Honestly, I mean, I was telling Andrea, like, last time my TBR got, like, 5 books larger, and as you're talking, I Got You, I have Guncle, I will be looking up that new Tiffany D. Jackson. It's like, what have I done starting this show? Because then it's like you're
You
talking
just
about,
wanted to
like
grow your TBR, that's all.
yes.
Thanks,
It's like
Sora.
because 'cause you're talking about, like, the experts for, like, award-winning titles, and I'm like, "But the experts, like, the librarians and the teachers and the educators, like, you guys know it all." So, when it comes to books, so, I will definitely be adding these. These look so cute. Yes, The Guncle Abroad is the sequel.
Ooh, yeah,
Love
that I
that.
need to read that one, but the first one, I was like, that was so touching
I need to read
and
it.
funny.
Yes, I have to read it. All right. Well, that was my very last question, Nick. Oh my God, perfect timing,
Woo.
too. We've been here for a half hour. Love that. Well, did you have anything else that I would love for you to let people know? I know that we mentioned it already, but where they can find you on social or anything like that?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Learn Teach More. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so happy that you invited me and to be here with Sora. We love comment and everything. So just thank you so much. And I love
Yeah.
sharing and learning from everybody else.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick, for joining us today and sharing all of your insights. Yeah, you're wonderful. And of course, I was going to invite you. You have like the most beautiful pictures on Instagram. So if you haven't followed Nick, make sure you do so. And then if you're an educator looking to build more inclusive and engaging reading experiences, explore what Sora and Teaching Books have to offer. And be sure to subscribe to more Classroom Book Talk conversations with educators who are bringing books to life every single day, just like Nick. And we will see you next time. Bye.